second poem that I offer to Open Mic, Share Your Music, is a poem by Alastair Reid. You will remember that my first poem was a translation he made of a poem by Pablo Neruda, but he was also a fine poet in his own right. I first came across him after he published a collection of his poems and translations many years ago. The title of the collection was Weathering, and this is also the title of the poem I am about to read now. But first, a few words about A.R. himself. He was born in Whithorn in Galloway in 1926 and died aged 88 in 2014. He left Scotland fairly early in life and lived for a time with Robert Graves in Mallorca. But he said that the only permanent address he had for many years was that of the New Yorker. One of his major contributions was the many translations of South American poets into the English language, such as Borges and Neruda. One of these poets, I believe it was the Mexican José Emilio Pacheco, said that Reid's translation was so good that he felt that his own work was really a translation of Reid's. I met him several times, both at the Edinburgh Book Festival and at Stanza, the International Poetry Festival in St Andrews. The addresses he gave at Stanza were both illuminating and amusing. But now to the poem, Weathering. I am old enough now for a tree, once planted knee-high, to have grown to be 20 times me, and to have seen babies marry and heroes grow deaf. But that's enough meaning of life. It's living through time we ought to be connoisseurs of. From wearing a face all this time, I am made aware of the maps faces are, the inside wear and tear I take to faces that have come far. In my father's carved face, the bright eye he sometimes would look out of, seeing a long way through all the tree rings of his history. I'm awed by how things weather. An oak mantle in the house in Spain, fingered to a sheen, the marks of hands leaned into the lintel. The tokens in the drawer I sometimes touch. A crystal lived in on a trip. The watch my father's wrist wore to a thin gold sandwich. It is an equilibrium which breasts the cresting seasons but still stays calm and keeps warm. It deserves a good name. Weathering. Patina, gloss and whorl. The trunk of the almond tree gnarled but still fruitful. Weathering is what I would like to do well. And indeed he did.